Have you ever wondered why you sometimes feel an inexplicable hatred towards others? What if I told you that a 20th century French philosopher not only understood this feeling, but explained it in a way that could completely change your view on human relationships? Buckle up for a philosophical journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about hate, hell, and human existence itself. Imagine being locked in a room for eternity with two other people. No physical torture, no flames, just people. This is the setting of Jean-Paul Sartre's play No Exit, where one character utters the famous line, "Hell is other people." But what did Sartre really mean by this? And how does it relate to the hatred you might feel in your daily life? If you've ever felt judged, watched, or limited by the presence of others, this video is for you. We're about to dive into the fascinating world of Sartre's existentialism and uncover surprising truths about ourselves and our relationships with others. Throughout this video, we'll explore concepts like freedom, responsibility, and authenticity. Whether you're a philosophy student, a professional seeking personal growth, or just someone curious about human nature, there's something here for everyone. We'll delve into Sartre's seminal work, Being and Nothingness, and explore how his ideas can help us understand why we sometimes hate everything and everyone around us. Before we delve into the details of Sartre's philosophy, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt completely free and at the same time terribly responsible for your actions? Keep that question in mind as we move forward. Sartre's existentialism isn't just an abstract philosophical theory. It's a lens through which we can examine our everyday lives and understand the complexities of human existence. Get ready to have your beliefs challenged as we explore concepts like existential freedom and the absurdity of life. Sartre was born in 1905 and lived through 2 world wars. These experiences shaped his view of human existence and led him to develop his existentialist philosophy. In 1944, he wrote No Exit, a play that would become a landmark in existentialist literature and introduce the world to the concept that hell is other people. Philosophers and thinkers worldwide recognize the importance of Sartre's work. His influence extends far beyond philosophy, reaching into literature, psychology, and even modern politics. His ideas about freedom and responsibility continue to resonate with people who are trying to find meaning in their lives. Now let's connect Sartre's existentialism with something we all experience: hate. Sounds strange, doesn't it? How can a philosophy about freedom and responsibility explain why we hate people? To understand this, we need to explore Sartre's concept of the look, or the gaze of the other. Sartre argued that we are condemned to be free. This means we have total freedom of choice, but also total responsibility for our actions. Seems contradictory, right? How can we be condemned to freedom? This paradox is at the heart of existential freedom and is key to understanding why we might sometimes hate everything and everyone. Let's unpack this idea step by step. First, let's understand the concept of existential freedom. Think about a difficult decision you've had to make recently. Did you feel the weight of responsibility? That feeling of having to choose, even when all options seem bad, is what Sartre calls existential freedom. It's the realization that we are solely responsible for giving meaning to our lives in a world that might seem absurd or meaningless. For Sartre, there are no predetermined rules or essences that define who we are. We're like seeds thrown to the wind, free to grow in any direction, but also responsible for where we choose to take root. This idea is central to his philosophy of existentialism. Imagine a world where every choice you make not only affects your life, but also defines who you are as a person. In this world, there are no excuses, no predetermined destiny, just you and your choices. Scary, isn't it? This is the world Sartre describes in Being and Nothingness. But if we're so free, why do we sometimes feel trapped? Why do we hate the people around us? The answer lies in Sartre's concept of the look, or the gaze of the other. You might think that Sartre's hell in No Exit is about physical torture or divine punishment. But no. The real hell, according to Sartre, is something much more common and much closer to our daily experiences. It's the constant presence of others and their judgments. Imagine yourself in a cafe, enjoying a croissant. Suddenly you notice someone looking at you. How do you feel? Does your behavior change? This is the essence of Sartre's gaze of the other. The gaze of the other transforms us into objects. It makes us self-aware in a way we weren't before. From free, autonomous subjects, we become objects of another person's perception. This is why we might find ourselves hating everything and everyone at times, because their presence forces us to confront aspects of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Think about how you behave differently when you're alone versus when you're in public. This change in behavior is the direct result of the gaze of the other. It's a manifestation of what Sartre calls bad faith. Bad faith is a fascinating and paradoxical concept from Sartre. It's essentially a lie we tell ourselves, but at the same time we know it's a lie. How is this possible? It's our way of escaping the responsibility that comes with our freedom. Psychological studies show that 70% of people admit to having lied to themselves at some point, but Sartre goes further. He argues that bad faith is an almost constant condition of human existence. Bad faith occurs when we deny our existential freedom. When we say, "I had no choice," or "that's just the way things are," we're acting in bad faith. We're denying our fundamental freedom and responsibility. Think of a situation in your life where you said, "I had no choice." Now consider, what if you did have a choice, but you were denying your freedom to avoid responsibility? This is the kind of self-reflection that Sartre's philosophy encourages. But how does bad faith relate to the hatred we feel for others? The answer lies in the next concept: authenticity. You might think that the solution to bad faith is simply being honest with yourself. But for Sartre, authenticity is much more than that. It's a constant challenge, an ongoing struggle against our tendency towards bad faith. It's about embracing our freedom and responsibility, even when it's uncomfortable. Authenticity is like a muscle we need to exercise constantly. The more we recognize our freedom and responsibility, the more authentic we become. This is the path to overcoming the hatred we might feel towards others and ourselves. Imagine a world where everyone lived authentically, fully recognizing their freedom and responsibility. What would this world be like? How would relationships be in this world? This is the kind of thought experiment that Sartre's philosophy invites us to engage in. Now let's connect all these concepts: existential freedom, the gaze of the other, bad faith, and authenticity, with the hatred we sometimes feel for others. What if I told you that the hatred we feel for others is actually a reflection of our own inauthenticity? That when we hate others, we're really hating aspects of ourselves that we're trying to deny. Let's go back to the room in No Exit. The three characters are trapped not just physically, but also psychologically. They're trapped in their own lies, in their own bad faith. Their hatred for each other is really a hatred for the parts of themselves that the others force them to confront. Hell isn't other people themselves, but what other people reveal about us. They are mirrors that reflect our own insecurities, our own lies, our own inauthenticity. This is why Sartre says, hell is other people, not because others are inherently hellish, but because their presence forces us to confront our own freedom and responsibility. When we hate someone, it's often because that person makes us aware of aspects of ourselves that we prefer to ignore. They force us to face our freedom and responsibility. In the face of this, we might find ourselves hating everything and everyone because it's easier than confronting our own inauthenticity. Therefore, the hatred we feel for others is, paradoxically, a hatred for ourselves. A hatred for our own freedom, for our own responsibility. It's a manifestation of our struggle with the absurdity of life and our search for meaning. But here's the final twist. If hell is other people because they force us to face our inauthenticity, then heaven can also be other people. When we live authentically, recognizing our freedom and responsibility, others become not a hell, but an opportunity for growth and genuine connection. And you, are you ready to face your freedom and responsibility? Are you ready to live authentically? These are the challenges that Sartre's philosophy poses to us. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you feel hatred for someone, stop and ask yourself, what is this person showing me about myself? What aspect of my freedom or responsibility am I trying to deny? This kind of self-reflection is at the heart of existentialism and can lead to profound personal growth. Share your experiences in the comments. How did Sartre's philosophy resonate with you? How do you deal with the gaze of the other in your life? Have you ever found yourself hating everything and everyone? How did you overcome it? Remember, you are free. Free to choose, free to act, free to be authentic. Hell can be other people, but so can heaven. The choice is yours. This is the fundamental message of Sartre's existentialism. This video has only scratched the surface of Sartre's existentialist philosophy. There's so much more to discover about freedom, responsibility, and authenticity. We've explored ideas from being and nothingness and no exit, but there's a wealth of other works by Sartre and other existentialist thinkers to explore. And what about that question we asked at the beginning, about feeling completely free and terribly responsible at the same time? Now you have the tools to start answering for yourself. This is the essence of existential freedom, the realization that we are solely responsible for giving meaning to our lives in a world that might seem absurd or meaningless. Thank you for watching. Until the next video, where we'll continue our journey through the fascinating world of philosophy and personal growth. Remember, in the face of the absurdity of life, we are all free to create our own meaning. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep striving for authenticity.